You guys have to go through these music distributors. You do not have the right to negotiate the contract that you sign.
Should I use my logo publicly before trademarking? Does music attorneys lie in general a lot to protect clients? That's a great question. What do you think? I would like to know the answer.
Right.
Don't lie. I am making songs and using Suno. It's quite clearly says that I can use the music for commercial use, so I take copyright. Is that right?
So we went through UDO, but just adding on what I just said. So under the Copyright Act, copyright has to be authored by a human, right? And so if it's authored by a machine, by AI, there's no copyright if the whole thing was made by AI. So what we talk about is just the distinction of if you put in your original words, you own your words. You don't own the rest of the AI made thing, okay? So you just have to be kind of careful with that when you go to register the music and that kind of thing.
Should I use my logo publicly before trademarking?
The timing is kind of sort of important. So meaning most people with their trademarks are like, I don't want to release it. Someone's going to steal it. And actually, trademark law in the United States works the opposite. Trademark law favors whoever uses it first. So if you wait like a year and it turns out that someone else starts using it before you, they may have a priority claim. So you actually do want to start using it as soon as possible for the thing that, the service, the good that you're selling. And then, as far as getting a federal trademark registration, just do that as soon as, time and money permits.
So when they are getting their trademarking for their bands and the artists and they're new to it, what class do you recommend that they get into first? Like because it's separate classes for different things, whether it's music or whether you're selling merch, right?
Yeah, when you file for a federal, so meaning you'll get protection in all the United States, not just the state that you live, you have to select what classes you're filing in, so like what categories. So for musicians, producers, artists, the ones that we do, the three most common, class 25 for merchandise, class 9 for music, and then class 41 for live performances. But each class costs usually around $350, so it gets real expensive. So sometimes we just start with like music, right?
Does music attorneys lie in general a lot to protect clients? That's a great question. What do you think? I would like to know the answer. Tell the truth.
Right.
Don't lie.
No, and there's actually rules. There's ethical rules with attorneys. You cannot lie for your clients, and you have to direct your clients accordingly, especially if they're like, hey, I gotta go testify in trial and I'm gonna lie. Like there's all kinds of problems that happen. So the answer is no. Definitely don't lie to the client. Don't lie on behalf of the client. And there are rules for attorneys for this reason.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it's even worth it to risk your whole entire career for.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the average attorney, spending $100,000, in my case, $200,000 of student loan debt that's accrued, putting that all on the line, plus your future income from your business and all of that, just because a client asks you to forge something. And these things absolutely do come up. The longer you've been practicing, stuff comes up. So, don't do it.
Is it feasible to distribute to streaming platforms without a distributor?
No. You have to, and that's our problem. That's what inspired me looking at terms of service in the beginning. And it was because I'm like, you guys have to go through these music distributors. You do not have the right to negotiate the contract that you sign. That's why I have a problem. It's one thing if it's like, no, you didn't have to go with this company. You don't have to choose them. And you couldn't, and like, if it was a different set of circumstances, but that's not what it is. And that's why I get really frustrated when I see extremely one-sided distribution agreements that you guys are having to sign.
You said to keep your day job because it funds your music. Any tips to maintain music growth when my day job is physically demanding with long hours and leaves me with no energy? Boy, can I relate to this.
Okay, my day. All right. Today we're in litigation land and I can't not do it. I have to run a law firm. I have to make sure that these cases are being handled, for all the reasons of I care and my name's on them and I want to do a good job for my clients. I got up today at 3:45 and you find time and that's not good ultimately if you're like, I'm not feeling good already. So what's helped me is because, over time, that has a negative impact because you're like, no, I was just willpower. I'm going to willpower my way through it. And that is what you have to do to a certain degree, but you have to find ways to combat the impact of doing that long term. So for me, doing that for the last 15 years of my life, at some point a few years ago, I went into a complete adrenal fatigue kind of situation. It was real bad.
Yeah.
And so
Scary.
basically coming out of it and being like, now I have tactics to find the time and the space, and it's going into, this time in your life where you just say no. So you go, I have capacity because I have to work. And sometimes that's just the case. There are things that I just have to do. And so that only leaves so much time otherwise. And so that means you have to start saying no. And I'm talking for myself. This does not work for everybody. I'm just saying what I do. So, going into a time where it's just literally you don't waste time watching TV, or if you are watching TV, you're on your phone working on your social media content, you're doing something to make the time valuable, because you
Yeah.
will find an insane amount of time that you are wasting, from an hour watching Netflix to 20 minutes every day on your phone on social media.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that for us. And so when I got really disciplined about my time and being like, my learning, because I don't have time to listen to podcasts and learn stuff. So now it's when I'm up for the 10 minutes where I'm feeding the cats and running around and all that. So
Right.
you just get extremely intentional, because we all have the same time. The millionaire and the billionaire and whoever the person is that you're trying to kind of, mirror your life after, we literally all have the same time. They're just doing different stuff with their time. So think about that.
I was very fortunate. Before I went to music and like content creator and all this stuff and TMA like full time, I cleaned swimming pools, for a living. So I was outside in the Arizona heat and 115 degrees in the summer. Sometimes I was working in a truck that didn't have any AC. It was rough, but I was fortunate with that job that I could, always work in headphones. And so I was always writing music, the demos and stuff that I would work on the day before, the night before. I would be writing, other stuff in my head and getting things ready and more familiar with it. So I'd always be working on music even when I was working. Now I understand a lot of people don't have that, luxury, but it comes down to your drive and your passion. A lot of it is you have to make time. If you're working solo, it's tough if you don't have, either bandmates or some kind of team that can help offset some of the, when you're at work, they're working on stuff and, at least doing marketing or just whatever it is. You guys have different assigned roles, but when you're doing all yourself, it's tough. So that's where, like you're saying, kind of like your time management, just really prioritizing what's
Well, not
important.
just that.
And
I
I'll
was just
tell
gonna
you,
say the add-on to that is just, you specifically said you don't have any energy, so you also need to just look at your health. Like, you need to go get your blood work. Like, it's an
oh, for
investment. It's
sure.
a pain in the butt. I get it. Go get your blood work done. See where you're at. You're probably deficient on something. Take a supplement for that something. Look at your diet and make yourself feel better. Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com.
One of my tracks was just accepted into a music library as exclusive. Congratulations. This track is also on Pond5 and Disco, links to other libraries to review. Would I now need to remove it from those? I would assume so.
Yeah, if you got accepted into a music library, look at what they had you sign. Okay, so it should say if your deal is exclusive or non-exclusive. If it's non-exclusive, having the song on the other platforms is okay. If it's exclusive, read it a little more carefully, and what does the exclusivity pertain to? Usually it says we have the worldwide or universal rights to the song. If that's the case, then yeah, you got to take it down from other places, or I'm not opposed to you reaching out and just saying it. Be like, hey, I'll stay out on these platforms. Is that a problem? Because maybe they'll come back and be like, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, they wanted exclusive. That's what exclusive is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm in the business of making you guys money. So sometimes just asking a question, and you're like, even though the contract says this, company, what do you think? And sometimes they'll be like, yeah, whatever.
Or they could come back and go, what do you mean you have it somewhere? I thought it was exclusive for us. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to have to reject your songs. We didn't know they were already out there because they
That's
wanted
right.
them exclusive.
That's the poke the bear.
Yeah.
We have to
Careful
deal
when
with
you
that
poke the bear.
sometimes in trademark matters. We're like, uh-oh, should we tell them? Should we address it with them? Or should we just like run away?
Is infringing on someone's copyright the same as infringing on their right to copy?
You know what? I might have to steal that. Let me remember that. And the answer is yes, because we went through the Copyright Act and we're like, one of the exclusive rights under the Copyright Act is the right to copy your stuff.
I uploaded my music to TuneCore. They keep saying my music is unsent due to me having a pen name and a real name, and sent me an email explaining this. Then they say my identity is approved.
Yes, we are constantly in conversation with TuneCore and DistroKid and CD Baby because we have all these different ongoing matters for clients. Obviously, I talk about it on this channel, and sometimes it's over technical stuff. Like some of our clients get so fed up of trying to just communicate with these companies. They come to us because we just have the relationships, and it's sucky. And you guys should be able to go through customer service. So what I say for the DIYers, I'm like, don't spend money on attorneys. Just you got to stick with it. And you got to follow up with them again and start a new thread and explain the situation. And it's such a headache, but oftentimes you can get it done that way. But sorry for the headache.
With lack of funds, is there a way to protect my music lyrics melody with a doing business as until I can save up for an LLC?
That's a really good question. So if you use a DBA or a trade name, whether you register it with your state or you don't, it still has the same impact. And unfortunately, what happens is that a lot of people will just start doing business using a business name. But what happens is that if that DBA is not connected to an LLC, it's connected to you, right? So then that liability for you personally, unfortunately, still happens. Now, here's the thing, for some people, they look at states that they can incorporate their LLC in, where like, in Arizona, for example, if you register it, it's, $55, $50 to register. And then,
Mhm.
thereafter, there's no annual fees, and so there's good stuff about it. The downside is that if you're not in Arizona, you have to have someone, it's called a statutory agent, but you have to have someone who can collect service of legal documents. So, there's ways to kind of get around the cost thing a little bit.